Welcome back, everyone, to the next session of this BA Essentials Part 1. Hopefully, we will be closing this today. Otherwise, we'll try to make it maybe in the next class, but I think we can close today. So before I go ahead, let me ask you any questions you may have from the previous class. Anyone?
No.
All right, so today we will continue with the requirement definitions and all. So the very first thing, what is a requirement? We have been hearing since day one. BA is capturing the requirement, blah, 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 all those things. So what is a requirement actually? So see, requirement is nothing but a business need. Any need from the business which is required to solve a problem or achieve certain objectives. If you have to define, a good definition will be a condition or capability that must be met by a product or product component to satisfy a contract, standard, specification, or other formally imposed documentations. So any contract you have signed with business to achieve something, to fix a problem, to improve something, that brings you the requirement. Requirement could be building something completely new that was never existed, or improve something which is already in picture, people are using it, or anything. Requirement could be a physical requirement, maybe you have to physically do something, or just a process improvements. So this could be anything. That depends what kind of business you have and what is the contract you have signed with business. Now, what drives requirement? Why do we get the requirement? What is something that actually triggers the requirement in any of the businesses? So there's no direct answer to this question. There could be many reasons for the requirements. As I said, business may have some specific mission that business would like to achieve. In our example, the Apple is like always working on some new missions. They have to come up with something new that none of the companies have ever produced or developed or released. So that is their mission. So that is requirement for them. So their one separate team is completely working towards those missions. So that is the requirement for them. You have an application already in use and you find some problems in that, any issues, or you would like to make some changes, any enhancements. You would like to, well, when I'm saying enhancements, this could be adding and removing both. We enhance the product by adding features and removing features sometimes. So those could be one of the drivers for the requirement. Business has changed everything, the whole picture, the complete requirement. So any change request could be one of the source of the requirements. Or you find an opportunity to improve something, that is also a requirement for you. Or sometimes everything is fine, but the technology has changed. We nowadays, every day we see something new is coming up. So the technology has changed, that will also give you the requirement. The example, the real world example, we all use smartphones, and you might have seen like after certain interval of the time, you see some updates are coming on your applications, your apps, and you have to download and install the new apps. Why are we doing all those things? Just because the technology has changed. Your OS, the operating system, has changed. To support that OS, your app has to be the modified and improved and developed in a way that the new OS, your application can work on the new OS. So that also brings you the requirement. So any app companies, if they have BAs, they will be definitely working, keeping an eye on the OS changes, and according to the OS, new features added, they have to modify their app so that the users can use it. So I'm just giving you generic examples, what drives the requirement. So these are the basic things, but there could be many other reasons hidden, clearly open, visible, that will drive the new requirements. And once there's a requirement, there's a role of a BA. It is the BA's ultimate responsibility to go ahead and understand what is needed, why needed, where needed, how come we do these things, and then get it developed and deployed to the business. Yeah. Now, have you ever thought, what is the reason of the project failures? You might have seen the project was stopped, project failed, we could not complete this. What is the reason behind that? There's a lot of research, but this is something I really like it. This may not be the actual numbers, but it looks like moreover correct. The numbers might slightly change. So there are certain reasons of the project failure. Number one reason is, you know, in this chart, you see the unrealistic expectations. Customer is giving you something which is really unrealistic. We cannot achieve those things, right? We cannot achieve unrealistic. Like as I gave you the example last time, if someone asks you you have to deliver my product to the moon or to the Mars, can you really go there? You cannot. That is unrealistic expectations. So the project will fail. So the researcher says 6% of the total project fails because of the unrealistic expectations. Lack of resources, 6% again. So what do you mean by lack of resources? When I'm saying lack of resources, this could be human resource, like the developers, or any other physical hardware, software resources that you may need in order for you to achieve and complete that project on time. So if you do not get all those things, it is likely 6% chances that your project will fail if you do not have the required resources. Technology incompetence, as I said, probably my company has maybe the old Visual Basic kind of development model, the technology, but the market is evolving. Now we need the programs to be written in Java so that can work in any of the platforms. But my company doesn't have Java competencies. So what will happen? Probably if we try to do those things, we will fail. This may not be the correct example that I'm giving you, the perfect example, but try to understand this way. You need to be updating your skills, and the company needs to be updating their technology competencies as per the market needs and standards. So the 7% of the project failure happens is because of technology incompetencies. Now, there could be other examples as well in the technology incompetencies. Let's say I am in Java, but my developers, they do not have that much expertise in Java. They are like learners, or probably they have recently moved, or they're learning and doing those things. That could be also one of the reasons when I'm adding technology incompetencies. So there could be so many things under this section. Lack of executive support, 8%. You have a project, but you're not getting the support from the top level management. When I'm saying executives, it's like top level folks. You're somebody who is funding your project, somebody who has like high interest and high power in the project, who can take certain decisions. You're not getting those supports. So there's certain reasons, miscellaneous reasons your project will fail if you do not have the proper support. 12% is changing or incomplete requirement in the specifications. What does it mean? You have one requirement already captured. Now, during the execution, business is changing those requirements continuously. That will also lead the project failure, because you will overrun budget, you will overrun time. You have certain budget money given for to get something done, and you have spent some amount already. You have spent some time already. Now business is coming to you and asking for a change. See, probably you may have to end up doing everything once again, redo everything. So this will again take money and time all. So this situation also contributes 12% project failures. 13% says lack of user input. You do not get the exact information from user. I'm the user and I have to use some product or application, and you're the BA, you're coming to me understanding what do I need, and I'm not giving you the information that you may need in order for the successful project delivery and completion. I may have different reasons that I'm not giving you the input, or probably as a BA, you're not asking me the right questions, So overall, lack of user input will lead 13% project failures. And 48% says unknown, others, we don't know. There could be many other internal, external reasons. You're building a house and some natural disaster happens. What will you do? You cannot do anything. So obviously the project will fail. There could be many other reasons, internal, external, some compliance, some, the government mandates that has recent, like you have done 99% of the project, and then suddenly some government mandate comes in, and you will end up like redoing everything, changing the whole project. Probably you have to scrap the project. That is again something you cannot control over. So there are some external dependencies as well. So 48% may include all those things. Now the question here is, as a BA, what should we do to make sure the project is not failing? Let me start over. The unrealistic expectations. Customer can give you unrealistic expectations. Customer can give you like, unrealistic expectations in the timeline, in the budget, in the requirements. It is us, the BA. It is our responsibility to ask right questions, negotiate with them, and try to close all those unknowns and help them understand what is possible, what is not possible, what is feasible, what is not feasible. The question, should I do these questioning at the same time when I'm capturing the requirement? Not necessarily. When you capture the requirement, you have to focus on what is needed and not how. When you go back to your team, you do your analysis, you do elicitations, and then you come to know, oh wow, customer is asking everything by tomorrow evening. Is that possible? No, this is not possible. So I'll go back to the business and tell them, excuse me, tomorrow is not possible. This is unrealistic. We cannot complete tomorrow. It takes a whole lot of time. And these are the n number of phases that we have to go, and this will take certain time. So you have to be very clear when you're talking to the customer on those all unrealistic expectations. Some of them you may know already because you have some previous working experiences with the customer or with the technology or with the team. Some of them you may not know at the same time. So you will go back, do your homework, research, and then go back and do. Ultimate responsibility will be on you to figure out all those things and close things, take sign off, agree with everyone, and then move forward. Same thing you can do with the changing and incomplete requirement specification sections. It says 12%. So now it is your responsibility, not only yours. It's a collectively team responsibility. This also lies with the project manager or the executives, that they have to come up with certain rules, regulations, or certain, setting proper expectations to the business. How do we deal with these changes? And in order to handle this, changing requirements, in traditional waterfall, we have a change management process defined. So what does it say? It does not ask you not to accept anything once you are in middle of something. It says you should, but you have to follow certain rules, certain processes, and then only you can accept. And what is the change management process? What we should be doing, what we should not be doing, we will discuss some other time in other videos. We have that topic that we will capture. For now, as a BA, if you are getting something in middle of the work or the development, the first thing you will do you will document this as a new change request, and you will do your analysis with the team, and you will give the customer the details, what will be the impact, and what will be like a ballpark effort. Probably you will not be able to give them the efforts. You will discuss with the finance or the developers or the project managers, and then probably you can go and let them know. So what could be the timeline, what could be the budget customer may have to end up paying, and what could be the process you will be handling. And then once the customer approves, then you will go through the change management process internally, and then you will take it forward. Now, what are those? We'll discuss some other time. For now, can I control this frequent change situation? Answer is yes, you can, and you should be doing. This is one of your responsibilities, to control over these uncertain changes during the project. Otherwise, you will end up seeing this situation where you're like burning up your, the amount, the fund, and everything. You will spend more time, and customer will be dissatisfied, or probably in the worst cases, the project will fail because you don't have money and you don't have time. Obviously, this will fail. And lack of user input, 13%. These are external dependencies you cannot control, but you can try your best to collect as much information you can from the user. And how do you do that? Asking the right questions. Asking question is something different, and asking right question is something different. So be specific to your questions. Do your homework before you go and talk to the business, and collect the information that you may need. And this may not be happening in just in one meeting. You may end up like doing multiple meetings, email exchanges, text exchanges. That's fine, cool. As long as before you start the development, you have to have everything collected, reviewed, and approved. That's the reason traditional waterfall says you please have approvals in every phase before you move to the next phase. So that's all about the requirement failures. Now, the good question is, what is the reason behind those failures, or what is the reason, like why we have all these failures? What could be the reasons behind them? So here I'm trying to explain what could be the typical problems and issues. So obviously you have incomplete information, or the information, the important key factors are lacking, or this is ambiguous. You don't know what is happening. People are just giving you the helicopter view of the requirement. So probably you will fail. You do not have complete details, and the critical stakeholders' point of view is missing. Let's say I am the one who is ultimately going to use the application, and I am the one who is going to fund you. Or probably I may not be funding you, but I'm the one who will be the the end user side that I'll be using. And as a BA, you did not find me. You did not find me as one of the key stakeholders, and you did not reach out to me, or you thought it is not important to talk to me because I'm sitting at the top, so you don't need me, or you had some hesitance that you will reach out to me, I will not give you time or support, blah blah, all those things. What happens? You are doing wrong practice. The right practice is you should not be assuming anything. As a BA, even in IT industry, it is well said, nothing happens on assumptions. Do not assume anything, even that is a very small thing. Talk, document, sign off, and then go forward, because you don't want to see the worst situation. So you should try to find who are the key stakeholders, and you must meet them and talk to them and try to understand their point of view. So I'm going to work on a software that will be used by someone else, but I have to collect the requirement from somewhere else, but I would like to go and talk to the person, meet the team, and see what is their expectations, what they think of doing all those things. This will help you clear a lot of things. So this is important for you. You do not have like complete insights of the requirement. The context is missing. They have given you like, something copied and pasted from middle of some paragraph, and there's no context. What exactly does it mean? So that's a problem. You have to understand the whole context. Why I am saying, I may have like little conflict with someone in you, and tomorrow I'm saying, what, I'm not going to take this class because I have other stuff, and so I'm done. So that is out of context sentence. You would like to know why I'm saying this thing. And how would you know? You will come back to me and ask, what is the problem? Why did you decide certainly to stop these training sessions? Is there any problem? Then probably you will be able to understand what is the full context of that sentence that I have given you. I'll just give you the simple generic example. So coming back to the actual point, long story short, you have to make sure you're asking the right questions, reaching out to the right people, and you have full details, and you know what is happening, and you have full insights. Like when you have been given something to do, you should be asking why it is needed. If you remember my first class, I told you, very first session, what is needed and why is needed is very important. When you ask why, you get the full insights of the requirement, and probably you will be in a situation to help customer understand the actual requirement. So asking right question is very important. So obviously inadequate documentations. You are a BA, you're not doing proper documentation. You have good understanding of the requirements, but you did not document this thing. In traditional waterfall, everything happens on the document. Document has to be approved, and the development team will review your document, and then based on the documentation, they will proceed with further developments. So the document has to be really important. This is very important. Not validated. What does it mean? You have captured everything from business, but you did not validate with business or internal team, and you did not get approval. This will be a problem. If that is not signed off, tomorrow anyone can change the requirement, and you do not have any proof that this was agreed, approved. On what basis you will fight back? You cannot fight back because you have nothing. Make sure you are validating everything with the development and with the business. When I'm saying with development, how? You did not discuss the requirement with the development team, and You went ahead, captured everything, reviewed with business, and taken the sign off. It looks correct, because business is okay. As long as business is okay, we are fine. No, it is not fine. There could be many other things that you may not be aware of, or you may not have that expertise. So it is highly recommended, or it should be, actually, it is a part of the process that you have to go, explain the requirement, discuss with your development team, take their input, their views, change accordingly, update the document, go back to business, review and approved it. You have to have in a win-win situation. Business is okay with the requirement, but the development team is not. They may give you like n number of reasons they will not be doing things. What will you do? You cannot work without the development team, so they have to be agreeing on as well. The same thing, development team is okay, but business is not okay. What is the benefit is going to make you? Business is not going to accept the project. So make sure you should be in a win-win situation. You have to review everything with everyone, validate, approve, get approved, and then move forward. And lack of knowledge transfer to development team. Obviously, this is very important. We have already covered, but let me give you one more, like little more insights. You know what is needed. You have a very good understanding of the requirement, but you're not passing it to your development team the way it should be passed on. Do you really believe they will be in a situation to work correctly? No. Unless I do not know what exactly is the need in detail, I may not be able to give you the right answers. You're going to the doctor and you're not giving the detailed information to the doctor. What is your problem? Do you really believe the doctor can treat you well? No. Doctor will start assuming things. And based on the assumptions, he will try to give you some treatment, and that may or may not be working for you. So if you want doctor to treat you well, you have to give him or her the full as much information you can provide. So that's a like simple real world example. Same happens with the IT development team. So they are providing you some solutions, so they should know what is the need. All right, question. Before we go ahead, any questions from you guys on any of these slides? All right. Which of the below leads when a BA fails to define excellent requirements? What is your answer?
B.
Okay. Anyone else?
It's D.
You said B?
D.
D. Okay, cool. Everyone, please give your answer.
B. D will
So you
be.
guys with the last experience, the last question experience, I'll go for D as well.
Cool. Okay, let's see what is the answer. Yes, D is the correct answer, and it looks like you guys have really understood the concept very clearly. I'm glad. Thank you. So if you, as a BA, fail to define the excellent requirement, this will certainly be a quality shortfalls. You will not be able to give a quality product to the customers, and customer will be dissatisfied for sure, 100%. And if the requirement is not clear, this will keep changing. You will have a lot of meetings, calls, questions to and fro, and you will like fail to meet the schedule, the timeline. And this will like ever expanding user requirements. The user will always be changing the requirements because you did not ask the right questions, and even user did not know. And initially, what happens when user is coming to you with certain changes, even they sometimes do not know what they need. So you need to ask the right questions, probing questions, need to know the reasons, and then you can help them understand, right? And then probably you will be able to answer all the thing. So this is the example. Once you fail, this will lead a lot of issues. So yes, answer is correct. Cool, thank you. Now, what is the cost of the poor requirement? We just have seen if we fail to define the correct requirement, project fails, and there are a lot of things happening. So what is the cost of the poor requirement? It is well said, rework costs 40 to 50% of the total cost of the software. Additional, you have like $100,000 for one project, and if you fail, and if you're doing rework, you will end up spending like $140,000 and $150,000. Can you believe you have only $100,000 budget, and now you're spending like $150,000 who is going to fund you the additional 50,000? Obviously, you may not have that budget in your company, in your project, in your quarter, in your team, and the project will definitely fail. You'll have to do a lot of things here and there, which will not give a good experience or positive experience to everyone. So it is very important for you to ask the right question. And it might be scary, it might be sounding scary. It's only me who is taking care of the whole thing. The answer is yes and no, both. Yes, why? Because you are the one who will be actually capturing the requirement. So yes, no as in no, this is a collectively team's responsibility, not only yours. So you do your job and make sure the team is they have a good understanding of what is the need, and then probably you should be good. Okay, so reworking a software requirement problems can cost 50 to 200% of the cost of, okay, cool. Obviously, if something is failed and I'm going to rework on those things, so this may range from like 50 times to 200 times of the actual cost. So if I have $100 budget, and if I'm doing some rework, I may end up spending 150 or maybe, $2,000 somewhere. So it is true. It is true. Any questions, any doubts on this one? Or any concerns that you would like to address here? Okay. So now we are moving to the next part of the requirement definition chapter. What are the different types of requirement? There could be hundreds of requirements, but here I'm just trying to teach you like the high level types of the requirement, the categories of the requirement. So basically there are three only. Within these three categories, you will have almost all the requirements falling in. Number one category is the interface requirement. What do you mean by interface requirement? Whatever you see, you feel, the outlook, that is called the interface requirement. You have one cell phone in your hand, and like Apple has some different interface, Samsung has some different interface, and blah, 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 other different companies. You go to any of the websites, Amazon, apple.com, or wherever, you have some interface. You'll find at the right top, you have cart, at the left top, you have your details, blah, blah, all those things. So these are interfaces. You will see the fonts are small, the fonts are in blue colored, the click button is at the top, as the middle, centered, or maybe the top right, top left, all those things. So there's everything is interface. Whatever you can see and feel is an interface requirement. Interface. So, and we also call it graphical user interface. In IT world, in the technical world, the development team will be talking to you saying GUI or GUI or graphical user interface or just user interface. So you will be understanding what they mean by when there's referring user interface or graphical user interface or GUI, all those things. So this is nothing but whatever you can see. Front end is all your interface requirements. So you will, when you have the new requirement coming in, you will identify if the requirement is from the interface requirement or from other part of the requirement. Now, functional requirement and non-functional requirements. Mark my word, you will be asked this question very frequently in your interviews. The interviewer will ask you, what is the difference between functional and non-functional requirement? Can you give me an example? You will 100% get this question in your interview. So pay attention to this here. What is functional requirement? Functional requirement is something that is, give me 1 second. Just 1 second, guys, please. Sorry about that. I see one pop-up, it doesn't go away. Okay, sorry. So functional is nothing but it gives you the main function of that software or that activity, the main functions, the main thing that software will perform and or that the particular activity will perform. the tasks that user need to achieve using the software. Say an example, when I am typing one of the numbers, when I'm pressing 5 on my cell phone, it should type 5. So this is a functional requirement. When I am clicking on call button, it should connect me to the call. That is a functional requirement. Let me take you a very basic example. The pen, you write every day using the pen. What is the main function of the pen? It should write. So when I'm writing, it should write, so that is the main function of that pen. Pen is a project. And what is the main function of the pen? It should write. When I'm writing, it should write. So writing is your functional requirement. Now, what could be the non-functional requirement? In the same example, what color the pen should write? What should be the thickness of the writing? Those are all non-functional requirements. The pen should write in black, or the pen should write in red. The pen should write in blue. So this red, blue, black are the non-functional, which are the supporting the main function of the requirement. What should be the thickness is again a non-functional requirement. How secure is that? It's a non-functional. Can I reuse those things? Is a non-functional requirement. So anything which will give you the main function is a functional, and anything which is supporting the main function is a non-functional requirement. So if an interviewer is asking to give him or her an example, you can take simple pen example. Pen is a project, it should write. So writing is a main function, this is a functional requirement. Now what color? Red, blue, black is a non-functional requirement. In IT industry, if you're writing any of the codes, can I reuse those codes? Probably I may have different projects as well where I can reuse those codes. So the reusable functionality should be a non-functional. But the code should perform some activity that should be your functional requirement. You're going to the Amazon site and you are selecting one of the items and that is adding to your cart. That is your functional requirement. It should add when you click on the buy button or add to the cart, whatever. That is the main function. Now, what time should it take to add? Maybe a fraction of seconds, milliseconds, nanoseconds. That timing is your non-functional requirement. So hope you get the point. Anything which is the main function isn't functional. Anything which is supporting the main function is a non-functional requirement. So in the software requirement documentation, you have different sections where you will write interface requirements, where you will document all those graphical user interface requirements. You will have one section that will talk more about the functional requirement. And then you will have another section that will talk about non-functional requirements. You will document everything in detail. The question, do we really need to write non-functional requirements? So the answer is yes, it is highly recommended. Sometimes business does not ask you the non-functional requirement. Business will only tell you, I need a pen that should write. Cool. So I have built a pen and I decided, okay, let me write in blue. So when I'm going to deliver this to business starts writing, says, hey, it's blue. I don't need blue. I need red. I need to highlight something. I need black. I need orange, because I have different use of that. Then probably you will end up in argument. That's why it is very important to ask why. When customer is giving you the requirement, I need a pen that should write, ask why do you need a pen? Probably business will give you the answer then and there. Okay, I would like to highlight these things in different color. Then this will give you an opportunity to ask what color do you want? Customer can tell you, okay, make it red or blue. And you document those things so that during the UAT, business is not like giving you surprises. So this is very important. Hope I'm clear to you guys. Even if you fail to ask that why probing questions, you should try to think, will there be any supporting requirements when customer says writing? Will there be any supporting requirements? Let me ask, what color does he want the pen to write? So you ask those probing questions. This is very important for you. If you do not ask these questions, probably you will not be able to collect the correct requirements. Get it?
Yes.
Cool. Any questions?
So yeah, I have a question.
Mhm.
Is there a software field? Are there a list of questions that which need to be addressed or requirement to functional?
No.
Specific questions are like from the so we know exactly what to ask or in an interview or beside the interview if you're in a meeting. that we know what project we're working on. So we need to have enough information so we know what they are talking about or what is the project is about. So we should have a little background of it. Is that
Yes.
right? To know the right, to ask the right question.
Correct. You know what happens when you get a new project, most of the time business will give you some requirement documentation, maybe an email, maybe a formal business requirement document from the business end, or probably you will be given the details during the meetings and some sort of information you will get from the business on the requirements. And then you have to do your homework. You have to go and do your research and find out what customer needs. How do we do these things? We have a separate sessions where we have discussed these things in detail. What should be our end-to-end process, a step-by-step process when we have started capturing the requirement. Now, when it comes to the functional requirement, there will not be any list for you that okay, I'm going to ask question number 1, question number 2. No, you have to come up with your questions, the right questions. And that requirement will always change depending upon the project. Project A may have a different set of functional, non-functional requirements. Project B may have entirely separate things. So you will not be probably writing the same thing again and again. The format is same. You will have one format. When I'm saying SRS is like a format suggested by IEEE, one of the engineering organizations in the world. Or companies may modify those formats and create one that is working for them, as per their requirements. So you will have those sections in the document, and okay, in this document I have to fill functional requirement, non-functional requirement. Now, what I'm going to write in the functional requirement section is completely depends on what project I'm in. So I don't know if I have understood your question correctly, but if you are looking forward to have the list of the questions, you will not have. You will be the one who will preparing those questions based on your research on the requirement. And then you will ask those questions, you will document, and you will review, and you will keep changing. Now, we will discuss in detail the SRS and how do we do versionings and how do we capture all those requirements. We will do that in detail later on in the further classes. Did I answer your question, Amar?
Yes, understood. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so let's take a 5 minutes break and then we'll do the next session. So maybe you all can join in 5 minutes. Thank you.
Okay.